Hi, I want to welcome you to this program that is sponsored by the Skyscraper Museum, and we're also delighted to be here with our neighbors from the Museum of Jewish Heritage. I'm Carol Willis. I'm the founder and director of the Skyscraper Museum. And to be here to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Earth Day. So the genesis of this evening's program really began when the Battery Park City Authority, which is the greenest community in America, as well as the World Financial Center and Brookfield Properties, got together to say, well, we ought to do something for Earth Day in order to celebrate and commemorate this very important event, because the ideas of sustainability and green architecture and green living in cities and greenery, as in Battery Park City, are so important to this particular community. And so we had a meeting of the organization of all of the not-for-profits that are in this area, and I have to mention and compliment the Battery Park City Authority for encouraging culture and social services and, in general, not-for-profits by a program by which they work with developers and, in fact, mandate that developers provide a public amenity in each of the spaces of the new buildings. Battery Park City is now almost completely built out. Every one of the development sites has been either built or is promised under construction. And in this 92 acres of Battery Park City, which is not a part, as some of you may already know, of the city of New York, but a special area that was created ex novo from landfill, including right here on this particular piece of property, the foundation excavations from the World Trade Center. So Battery Park City Authority really stands as a very special organization that early on embraced green values and sustainability. And from 2001, they mandated the green guidelines for all of new construction. And I saw Bob Fox is in the audience here. He was involved in creating some of those green guidelines. And Jordan Grusin, I saw, also lives in Battery Park City, as Bob does, and is similarly dedicated to sustainability. So when the idea came to celebrate Earth Day in some way with all of the various organizations, most of the other not-for-profits had different missions than the Skyscraper Museum. There's Poets House, or the Irish Hunger Memorial, or World Hunger, or our neighbors just across the way, the Museum of American Indian. And all of the other organizations, when they thought about Earth Day, thought about nature. They thought about plants, or they thought about the climate, or they thought about the air. But of course, I thought about cities. And so in conceiving, and buildings, of course. So in conceiving this evening, I thought it was important for the Battery Park and City part of Earth Day to also be commemorated. The Skyscraper Museum, and I'm going on here at some length now so that the people who are coming in through the security will have some time to sit down. Battery Park, the Skyscraper Museum had our first exhibition that focused on sustainability in 2006 when we did Green Towers for New York, from visionary to vernacular. And at that point, there were 14 projects in New York that demonstrated sustainable goals, and most of them then received LEED rating, either LEED certification at some level, gold, silver, or platinum. And those projects now have all been finished, but they were the pioneering projects that have led to a tremendous amount of interest and construction, and we hope further development in new buildings in New York and around the world that follow these sustainable goals. But what's entirely clear when you look at cities is that it's not new buildings that are going to solve the problems of sustainability for our Earth moving forward. And as people around the world move to cities from the countryside, and we are now in a moment when the majority of people in the world live in cities rather than in rural areas, it's clear that cities are the future for our planet and the future for sustainability. So it is also clear, as the Plan NYC, the 2030 plan for the Bloomberg administration has outlined, and as the mayor of Chicago in the project that Gordon Gill is going to be talking about tonight, the decarbonization plan, have insisted, it's looking at existing buildings that's going to solve the energy problems going forward. But yet there are gigantic problems involved in the kinds of analysis that needs to be brought to bear on the problem of retrofitting. And so when last year in particular there was a great deal of interest and press and media attention to the innovative plan that was being announced by the Empire State Building back a year ago, actually in April of 2009, the retrofitting project that was undertaken by the Malkin family and their partners in the Empire State Building project, which include Johnson Controls, Jones Lang LaSalle, and the Clinton Climate Initiative. That case study promised to offer quantitative goals that would be satisfied in a demonstration project that would be a replicable model. Some of you have probably seen a lot about that project already in the year that has passed. But New Yorkers don't know nearly as much, I think, in general, about what's been happening in Chicago. So last October, when the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat met in Chicago at their annual conference, I actually shared the podium with Adrian Smith, who is Gordon Gill's partner, and tonight Adrian won't be here as it said on our postcard together with Gordon. Gordon is going to represent the firm and very ably present their projects. But when I saw Adrian do the presentation of their analysis for Chicago retrofitting plan for the decarbonization plan that they had put forward as independent research. And then additionally, the plans that they had been commissioned to do by the owners of the Sears, now called Willis Tower. I was particularly interested in bringing together the comparison of the Empire State Building and the Sears Willis Tower as examples of green giants, the largest buildings of their eras, the Empire State Building, world's tallest building and also largest building in 1931, and then the Sears Tower, even larger by 1.5 million square feet and a couple hundred square feet as it was built and completed in 1974. So these two buildings, which offer case studies of different kinds of approaches to retrofitting, I thought would make a wonderful evening's presentation as a point of comparison, but also brought to bear, especially on the idea of what can cities do on an Earth Day agenda of making a more sustainable place, of making cleaner air and more efficient. So our nature, the Skyscraper Museum's high-rise urban perspective on Earth Day is to analyze what can be done through planning, through engineering, through high-performance buildings and retrofitting, whether it's a low-tech or high-tech. How can you measure and how can you make economic these projects so that they are appealing to owners and they are broadly applied across cities? So we have as our two featured speakers for the two buildings tonight. I'm going to introduce first Gordon Gill, who will present the Chicago plan and the Sears Willis Tower retrofit project, and then we'll turn to the Empire State Building. So home team bats last, and then we'll be joined by Rit Agarwala, who is the executive director of in the Mayor's Office of Operations, the Department of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability. And Rit will respond in the context of New York to the Chicago's plans, and then ask some questions of the speaker and of the audience in order to try to engage you further in a conversation about new directions. So let me first introduce Gordon Gill, who is a partner with Adrian Smith in Smith plus Gill Architects. And Gordon has a long resume of working especially on high-rise buildings. I'll read to you briefly some of the high points because he's been he's designed award-winning architecture around the world. In fact, he's come to us within the last 20 hours from Shanghai, and Adrian has just come back from Shanghai as well, but he only got as far as Chicago, but Gordon continued for us here tonight. His work emphasizes the holistic approach to design that integrates all project disciplines. The results are performance-based designs that work symbiotically with their natural surroundings, contributing to the sustainability of cities, augmenting the built landscape, and creating optimal user experience. Gordon's work includes the design of civic facilities, of large-scale mixed-use developments, citywide master plans, the world's first net zero energy skyscraper, and the world's first large-scale positive energy building. Masdar headquarters, that some of you may have heard about in Abu Dhabi, is also one of his projects with Adrian and the Smith-Gill firm. Gordon and Adrian both previously worked with Skidmore, Owings & Merrill on many of these large projects, including the Guangzhou Pearl River building that is the first net zero skyscraper built anywhere, and is nearly completed now in Guangzhou. I saw it just in construction in January. So Gordon's work has been recognized by many architectural and professional firms, won awards. And I think one other notable part of this rather long resume that I'm abbreviating is that most recently he and Adrian, along with two additional previous partners from SOM, Roger Frechette and Robert Forrest, are founding principles of positive energy practice, which is an energy engineering and consulting firm that designs and implements energy resource management and carbon reduction strategies for public and private clients around the world. So Gordon is going to first give us a broad overview of some of the ideas of the projects they've been working on, and then specifics about the Sears Willis Tower and the plans for the retrofit of the building and an additional hotel on the site. So, Gordon?